Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. I'm here with special guest, hilarious comedian, actor extraordinaire. You know him from one of my all-time favorite movies, Groundhog Day, one of my all-time faves. But he's in a new series on Showtime right now. Call him Dying Up Here. It's Rick Overton. Hey, Rick.
Hey, Jimmy. Thanks for having me in.
Thanks for being here. Also, next to him, you know him, you love him, Ron Placone.
Howdy, howdy.
So, again, we've talked about this on the show. It keeps happening. The Democrats, the corporate Democrats, which in the best of times are 10% to the left of center and normally are 10% to the right of center, to quote Phil Oakes. So the corporate Democrats, they remember Nancy Pelosi. Oh, I never thought I'd long for the days of George Bush. George Bush is a verifiable fucking war criminal, you maniac, who should be in jail, but you failed to impeach him because you're weak and bought by the same people he is. Mm-hmm. So now what Trump has done is brought the worst out in the Democrats and the Republicans. Now they're not, well, I don't know, they're revealing themselves because did you remember all those right-wingers, neocons who supported Hillary Clinton? You remember Negroponte? John Negroponte was, I'm voting for Hillary Clinton. All the Iraq War people, David Frum, Bill Kristol, they're
Kissinger.
So
Torquemada.
So what's that?
Torquemada.
Now
The torturer.
Yeah, now what they're doing is the Democrats have reformed all those people who should have been pushed to the edges of society. All the people who were for the Iraq War, all those dregs, the guy who invented the term axis of evil, David Frum, they've rehabilitated all of them, and now the Democrats, this is from the Washington Post, it says national security figures launch a project to counter Russian mischief. So this is private organization got together. They started a, by the way, bipartisan, because everyone's afraid of Russia. You ready for this? It's the Alliance for Securing Democracy. That's what it's called. And who's in it? It's a who's who of former senior national security officials from both parties. You mean the same people who brought us here, who set the Middle East on fire? Both parties set the Middle East on fire. George Bush, with the help of Hillary Clinton, the Democrats, started with Iraq. We're still in Afghanistan, by the way. 16 years later. 4 more years, we get a gold watch. 16 years we've been in Afghanistan. No one can tell you why we're still there. Nobody can tell you. We did Iraq. Barack Obama did Libya, did Syria. So we're going back in Somalia. So that's who, when they say both parties, as George Carlin told us, when it's a bipartisan thing, get ready for an extra heaping of shit coming your way. So who's on this alliance for securing democracy? Well, look at that. Hard-on former Homeland Security Secretary Michael Chertoff.
The guy who made all the machines for your airports.
The rapey scan. So that guy, by the way, they all admitted, remember, Rich, they would manipulate the orange alerts? Mm-hmm. They were doing that to scare people during the election. They admitted it. This guy's the head of Homeland Security. So none of those people, by the way, are banished from polite society. None of those. By the way, he went on to, after scaring the shit out of us and artificially engineering orange alerts, terrorist alerts, to sell all those rapey scan, the backscatter that was Chertoff. Mm-hmm. He worked for the company who sold those to the government. So he's you know what he is. He's a corrupt warmonger. Former acting CIA director Michael Morrell. Oh, the CIA. Who doesn't like the CIA? They murder. They murder and they murder, torture, and overthrow democratically elected governments before breakfast. What's not to like with those people, right?
Are you going against our own intelligence? What kind of patriot are you?
Yeah, well, our own intelligence has been proven to be fucking liars, and they spy on us. And by the way, they're doing propaganda on our own goddamn citizenry, which is supposed to be against the Constitution. Barack Obama made it okay with the NDAA. Just so you know, now that our own government can do propaganda on us. It used to be illegal. Barack Obama made it okay. Just so you know. So when it's a bipartisan thing, it's an extra sling of shit coming your way. Former House Intelligence Committee Chairman Mike Rogers, who is a fucking garbage person when it comes to foreign policy. We've covered him and Dianne Feinstein. Ugh. They couldn't buddy up harder to push for World War III. And by the way, a surveillance state. So he's all about their surveillance state. By the way, NATO Supreme Allied Commander Adam James, well, I can't pronounce his name, former National Security Advisor to Joe Biden, Jake Sullivan. So it's a bipartisan effing over. Former Estonian president. Isn't that something?
What's he doing?
I don't know.
Here?
Former
What?
former State Department official in the Obama administration, Laura Rosenberger, and former National Security Counselor to Senator Marco Rubio, Jamie Fly. So all these people can come together. Isn't that something? They can all come together over what? The threat to our democracy is a national security issue. Russia is waging war on us. They are using different kinds of weapons than we are used to in a war. These fucking cretins are using language like this when everyone knows the nuclear clock is closer than ever before to destruction. Do you know that, right? Do you know they moved it closer?
Did you know that it's a race between nature and nuclear for who's going to get us first?
Yeah.
Oh, there's enough other elements that if you just shut all the nuclear stuff off, you're not out of the woods.
Right.
It's like shooting Jason. He laid down. He's getting back up again.
This is the former Barack Obama official using language like that. Isn't that frightening, unsettling, and irresponsible to the hilt, Rick?
I think it's also eye-opening, and certain eyes that are pried wide shut need to be cranked open.
It's
I just hope that there's some people that now see the similarities that they didn't before. Maybe now they will.
The similarities between
the parties and how they're and
yes.
this acquiescence, the immediate. That was what I was talking about. This is a shit immune system that works.
Yes.
I want an immune system that works with cancer.
Yes.
Becomes a partner with cancer.
Reach across the aisle.
Yes, reach across to cancer.
See how we can cooperate.
Not just stomp it out like a fucking cigarette and kill it, but to work with it.
That is a great metaphor. I'm going to steal that from you on the show.
An honor. An honor.
I will. That is great. So the Democrats, instead of standing up to cancer, they want to find a way to work with it. That's
unless, of course, it's progressive cancer. Then they don't want to.
Then they don't want to work. Right.
It's got to shut the fuck up.
If it's progressive cancer, they got to stamp that out right away. So this is official from the Barack Obama administration using as if they want you to have, they want to put it, this is how propaganda works. They want you to start thinking that we're at war with Russia. So when they actually start a real war with Russia, a shooting war, no one will be upset about it because they got us ready. We're priming the pump. This is people tippy top of government saying this shit, using words like war with Russia, the only other nuclear huge power in the world.
Their missiles can reach us.
Yeah. She goes on, we need to do a much better job understanding the tools the Russians are using. No, you're a tool. You're a tool. You're a tool of the military-industrial complex and Wall Street. That's what you are. You're a tool. These people, I'm telling you, these people are sociopathic, fucking narcissistic maniacs. And you don't think Laura Rosenberg knows what she's doing is wrong? You don't think that she knows she's ratcheting up war? She's using the language of war for a political purpose to cover up failings, to try to screw over Trump? That's what this is about. Cover up for Democratic failings and try to marginalize Trump. That's what this is. These are neocons coming together with neoliberals. What does that mean? Warmongers and warmongers coming together. Corporatist warmongers and corporatist warmongers who are cool with abortion coming together.
Well, this is you're with us or you're with the terrorists part 2.
Yes.
That's exactly what this is.
And they're trying to make Trump out to be with the terrorists. Ironically, Trump is actually against the terrorists.
He's against ISIS.
He's against ISIS. He's against al-Nusra. He is against al-Qaeda. You know who's not? The United States. We're funding and training al-Nusra and al-Qaeda and ISIS. We've been doing it. And by the way, the CIA admits it, but it's always buried on page 88 of the fucking newspaper, so nobody knows about it, and they never talk about it on the TV. The idea is to create this is the idea of this alliance. The idea is to create a platform and repository of information about Russian political influence activities in the United States and Europe that can be the basis for cooperation and a resource for analysts on both sides of the Atlantic to push back against Russian meddling. So what that tells me is the idea is to create an appearance that we have information and intelligence and facts about Russia. So now but we don't. So this is to create the illusion that we have that. So now we can manipulate the American people with our bullshit, just like we manipulated them into a war with Iraq. Remember, they manipulate. You got to be scared. Weapons of mass destruction. Staring. Oh my God, Colin Powell went to the UN. Remember that? These aren't assertions. These are facts. That's what they're doing. That's what this is. So that's what they're doing. They're creating an extra governmental, a non-governmental agency. Because Trump isn't going to give you the bullshit information anymore. He's actually going to tell you the truth about fucking Syria and ISIS and Al-Qaeda. Isn't that crazy? Trump is the one. And so what they want is now their own organization to put out their own propaganda so we can keep up ratcheting the war in Syria, keep ratcheting the war in Northern Africa, keep ratcheting up the war with Russia, keep everything going, baby. That's what this is about.
It's interesting. He's gone in reverse. He's attacking the world less and attacking his own nation more.
Who's this?
Trump.
Oh, yeah.
He's putting the attack out, but he's putting it out on us.
Well, how so? Can you explain?
Well, I'd say it was Sessions. Sessions
Oh,
is a
okay.
giant salvo against humanity. you
Okay.
know, And things like that. He's installing the other guys to be the bad dummy that says all the things the ventriloquist
Yes.
doesn't want to say.
So I'll say, you know what, and I've told people on this show before, and I don't care whatever reason Trump doesn't want to start a war with Russia. I don't care if it's because they have a tape of him getting peed on, or he owes money to some gangsters in Russia, or because who knows what. I don't care. Whatever the reason, if he doesn't want to ratchet up a war with Russia, I'm all for it. Yeah. Because anybody, if you read Smedley Butler, he knows that war is a racket. And just like George Orwell said, we don't go to war unless a handful of plutocrats know they're going to make a bundle of money. That's why we go to war. We don't go to war for any other reason. Unless the establishment knows they're going to make a bundle of money, we don't go to war. So I say no more war. I'm like Code Pink. I'm like Medea Benjamin. Wars are bullshit. Wars are nothing but always for aggression to steal natural resources. That's all they've ever been.
Smedley Butler stopped a fascist attempted takeover. He's the only one in our history that ever was able to step up and do that.
Yeah,
and actually
of our
shut down
government.
an attempted government that was run by Prescott Bush. And,
Yes,
yeah.
they were literally going to try to take over the government in a fascist coup of our government. He stopped them.
He stopped it with troops.
That's amazing, right? This project aims to be able to eventually map out Russian disinformation on social networks, cyber efforts, financial flows, broader state-level cooperation, or even Russian government support for far-left or far-right parties in other countries. This is xenophobia. That's all this is. This is something is eating their brains. And I'll tell you what's eating their brains, their horrible failure of losing to Trump. That's what this is. This is nothing else. This is pretending that Russia, there's a red under your bed. There's a red in your closet. There's a red around every corner. There's a red. This is McCarthyist bullshit. Am I wrong about this?
Well, I want to add, Jimmy, it's going to have domestic implications, too, because you read far left or far right parties
right.
in other countries. This means we're going to continue to scapegoat and marginalize places like RT America or somebody in charge of a bureau of a Sputnik agency or something
or
like that.
progressives.
That's going to continue. Well, yeah, progressives affiliated with those networks.
So
yeah.
that's exactly what they're going to do. When they say, "Oh, Russia," so they're always trying to say that Bernie Sanders supporters were all tricked by Russia. I thought it was just that I liked single payer.
Yeah, right.
I thought I wanted money out of politics and I like single payer. It turns out Russia's tricking me. So this is all
but
this.
not the only party getting tricked. 2 words, uranium one.
Ah!
It was easy to trick more than one party, evidently, with Russia.
Uranium One, Hillary Clinton's foundation, the Clinton Foundation got over $140 million for that. Bill Clinton got a $500,000 cash from a Russian Kremlin-connected bank for one speech. And you're telling me, who do they pay when they pay to try to fix a boxing match? They pay the loser.
Takes the fall.
They play the loser. Why do you think she didn't go to Michigan and Wisconsin? Because she didn't think she needed to?
She knew. She knew where not to be.
You pay the loser. That's all I'm saying.
Well said, sir.
The goal of this project is not to relitigate the 2016 presidential election. No, because if you did that, you guys would look like losers again.
Mm-hmm.
Hillary Clinton still less popular than Donald Trump.
How can that be?
How could that be? It's not to relitigate the 2016 presidential election or to investigate the issue of whether the Trump campaign either colluded or was used by Russia as part of its interference campaign. The premise is that the Russian interference is ongoing and that not enough is being done to understand and ultimately counter it.
Because endless war means endless peace.
This
Remember?
is what this is, Ron. You're exactly right. This is endless war. Endless war. We have to track Russia forever. Forever, we have to track Russia. We have to be on. This is them starting a new Cold War, and it's being started by the corporate Democrats in conjunction with the neocons. It's time for people who care about this issue to drop the partisanship and come together on this. And they are. They're coming together on this. The corporatist warmongers on both parties are coming together on this. Isn't that something? So here we go. The end of the article is the closer we get to 2018 and we don't see a huge amount of activity to get prepared, the more dire this is. So again, you see the propaganda, how they scary. This is dire. We have to have our own non-government organization, an intelligence organization extra outside the government so they can inform us because Trump's in bed with Holy fuck.
It spins your head.
And this is
That's what it's
happening.
supposed to do.
And this is and Rick, this is happening under the. You know goddamn well Chris Hayes is not calling this shit out. You know goddamn well that they're not. Jake Tapper is not calling this shit out. You know goddamn well the New York Times and the Washington Post is not calling this stuff out.
They're not going to screw that job up.
No, everybody, you got to be in lockstep, baby. So Chomsky already told us what's wrong with the media. He already proved to us that they're just there to forward the plutocrats, the agenda of the plutocrats. That's all they're there for. And the plutocrats want war with Russia. They want more war in Syria. They want more war in the Middle East. They want more war, baby. Why? Because the petrodollar. They want more war. The whole deal. Our whole economic system hinges on the petrodollar. People don't realize that. So there you go. God damn the Democrats and the Republicans for doing this. God damn them. They're making Trump look sane. This makes Trump, because Trump wants to align with Russia to defeat the terrorists in Syria, which is what we should be doing. But the Democrats and the neocons, the military-industrial complex, won't allow our politicians to do that. Just so you know. I don't know. I don't know how people in journalism can go to work every day and not be screaming about stuff like this at the top of their lungs. 98-2 in the Senate for sanctions against Russia. And no one's everybody's on board. They think it's a great thing.
They don't want to get arrested or thrown out of the next press meeting.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. And well, now it's they'll probably make it illegal after they make it illegal to protest Israel. They'll make it illegal to protest starting World War III.
Right.
So it's super disheartening. I'm glad that you're watching the show because this is the point of view that is not being heard. And it feels exactly like what was happening in the run-up to the Iraq War. Both parties on board for war. Both parties on board for Afghanistan. We got rid of the Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan in about 5 minutes. Literally, they were gone in days after we sent our special ops troops in there to get rid of Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda was gone. We're still there 16 years later. We've set the entire Middle East on fire, and no one gives a shit because Barack Obama did it, and he's handsome, and he's really courteous in public.
Well, there's more than one addiction to that region. One is
oil,
and the other is heroin.
Oh, right. You mean in Afghanistan and poppy seeds? And
it's the poppy trade keeping that whole business going.
I would say 3 addictions. It would be oil, the poppy seeds, and Israel. Right? Our addiction to Israel. Isn't it funny that Bernie Sanders said that it would cost somewhere around $50 to $60 billion a year to send everybody to college for free, or I don't know how much it would cost to give us universal health care, single payer. We give $38 billion to Israel for their military so they can take the money they would spend on their military and give everybody in their country single payer. Isn't that funny? Israel has single payer. We give them $38 billion, but we can't have it here. And people go, how are you going to pay for that? How are you going to pay for free college? Nobody asks Israel how they're going to pay for single payer. We'll get the fucking money from the United States. That's how we're going to pay for it. You kidding me? They give us almost $40 billion a year for nothing.
And Saudi Arabia is I think it's the hub of all of this. I think it's
no doubt about
it. Behind the next curtain back
Yep.
is Saudi Arabia. It's a power center for the planet right now.
Yep.
And they're acting like it.
Yes.
And Dubai, and you see all these extravagant places going up, and you wonder that's all we paid for every bit of Dubai.
Yeah.
We funded the entire place.
Right. Through our oil purchases.
Yeah. Well, out of our ding, ding, ding at the gas, we made those crazy-looking towers.
So that now you know the rest of the story, and don't listen to what they tell you on CNN or MSNBC or the editorial page of the New York Times or the Washington Post. Think for yourself. And if it smells like bullshit, you know it is. And if we're at war in the Middle East, it's bullshit. Hey, everybody, the next live Jimmy Dore show is August 16th. That's a Wednesday. New time, 9 p.m. 9 p.m. show. 9 p.m. show, August 16th in Burbank, California. Get your tickets right there or at jimmydorcomedy.com.